Like many who discover the furry fandom and fursuits, the moment you take an interest in them, you quickly realize that you want one of your own. That is exactly what happened to me, but unlike most people, I have to do everything the absolute most difficult way possible. Almost all the early art of my character is drawn by me, so it only seemed appropriate that the first iteration of my fursuit would also be made by me. And just like learning to become an artist has been an adventure, so was learning the basics of fursuit making. My journey actually started in VR. Shortly after getting a VR headset in November of 2021 and making friends with a small group of furries who really enjoyed Neos VR, I knew I wanted to take my character from flat 2D artwork to a rigged 3D model. The idea of creating a fully custom avatar gave me an amazing drive to finally learn Blender. How to model, how to rig, and how to texture. Little did I know at the time that this was going to give me a massive head start in fursuit making. With the magic of 3D printing, I was able to take my original VR avatar model, combine it with a 3D scan of my face, and create a perfectly fitted TPU fursuit head base. I used my own existing model, but nothing stops you from creating a head specifically for a perfect fitted base using this exact technique. Now, if there's one major lesson I learned during this, it's that this type of stuff takes time. I originally started this fursuit project in September of 2023, hoping to have a partial ready to go by Anthrocon 2024. Needless to say, that did not happen. In that first year, the only thing I managed to accomplish was picking my fur colors, but progress is progress. By August of 2024, I got back on track with scanning, modeling, and wiring. By January 2025, I had a fully assembled TPU base ready for fur. I'll admit, spreading about 2 months of actual labor across a couple of years sounds crazy, but it was my way of staving off burnout. Had I just powered through every free moment, I would have finished way sooner. But I'd also have zero energy left for other projects and absolute no willingness to make another suit. If you're making a suit for yourself for fun, take your time. It might take a year or two, but you will stand a much better chance of finishing without hating the process. Pacing myself worked until I was up against my new deadline. With my sights set on Anthrocon 2025, I started patterning and furring the head base in February, and I finished my hand paws in June. With only the tail left to do, and 1 month before the con, I ran into a massive wall. Inspired by the success of my TPU head base, I decided to build my tail core out of TPU as well. My design called for an articulating super motion printed tail, but I rushed it. Originally, when testing my TPU head, I printed small-scale tests to refine my print settings, but because I was short on time, I thought I could skip that step for the tail, thinking the settings I used for the head would work well enough for the tail. I was wrong. Very wrong. Not only was the tail too heavy to support itself, but because I hadn't tweaked the settings for such a massive print, sections were splitting far too easily. To make matters worse, I was sewing the first sleeve at the same time the core was printing, meaning I was locked into the size and shape with no room to adjust, and to add insult to injury, I miscalculated my material consumption, so I ran out of TPU mid-print, delaying the process even longer. About a week before the convention, I realized I had to abandon the TPU tail. Without a finished tail, I actually ended up passing on the opportunity to bring the suit to Anthrocon 2025 entirely. Mostly this is because I travel by air, and without the final tail done, I had no idea what size suitcase I needed to keep the Snep safe. And with the cost of a hard case being quite high, I didn't want to risk buying something too big or too small. It wasn't until after the convention that I had discovered a wild solution. An inflatable tail core. Oddly enough, it worked. I could basically deflate it and fit my entire tail inside my fursuit head for travel. It was a weird solution, but it gave me a lot of experience working with vinyl, which will definitely come in handy for future projects. When a project stretches out for this long, it's easy to fall into hyperfixation. One of my biggest time sinks was obsessing over tools. I sometimes found myself at the risk of losing a lot of time and a lot of money just looking at something like fabric scissors, and going so deep down a search rabbit hole, you find the rabbit. His name is Steve. He doesn't really know what's going on here either. Thankfully, I managed to keep my spending relatively low. My biggest piece of advice: don't obsess over the basic tools like sewing needles and scissors. Maybe do splurge on some fur clippers with ceramic blades. Quality clippers are essential for running through lots of fur without overheating the machine or melting the fur. I see this as a worthy investment if you're planning to make multiple suits, which is what I intend to do. This ties into a question I get asked a lot. Is it less expensive to make a suit or commission one? Yes, even with buying all the tools and materials, this cost me less than commissioning a partial. But that's not really the point. Because I made it myself, this suit has a unique style that matches my artwork. I could have commissioned a higher tier maker, but in the end, the result wouldn't have been me. The financial savings were just a bonus. The real reward was creating a physical representation of my character exactly how I envisioned them. Plus, now I have the skills to make more suits, whether that be for myself or for others. So after all those setbacks, did I ever actually get to wear the suit? The answer's yes. The official debut finally happened at Anthrocon 2026. If you were there, you know we experienced some absolute record-breaking heat that weekend. But thankfully, the weather broke on Sunday, which gave me the perfect opportunity to suit up for almost the entire day and night, going straight into the Dead Dog Dance. This is where the TPU head base really proved its worth. I was absolutely amazed with how breathable it was. Despite using a higher density infill for the print, the material never felt like it was a solid plastic box or foam bucket reflecting heat back into my face. It always felt cool and comfortable enough to survive a summer con, which felt like the ultimate payoff in experimenting with TPU as a base. If I could redo a few things, I'd make a few tweaks to the head base. I would create a void space so that my glasses could fit comfortably between my face and the eye holes. I'd also decrease the density of the head fills so that it makes it even lighter and more breathable. I would also give the fur a pre-shave before I glue it onto the base. This was something that I wasn't entirely sure about while I was putting the suit together, and I decided to shave everything after it was attached, which did end up working out at the cost of maybe not being as clean as I would like it to be. Finally, I'd build the tail as a more traditional supermotion foam build. I maybe got a little bit too confident in my 3D printing abilities, and it bit me. But every mistake was a lesson learned, and ultimately getting to run around Anthrocon as my own creation made every second of this project worth it. If you made it this far, thank you so much for joining me in this journey. I hope you enjoyed the video, or at the very least, you are sound asleep listening to my voice. If you have any questions or want me to go deeper into a specific part of my build, let me know in the comment section. I always read every comment and reply to as many as I can. I don't always make long, rambling videos, so again, thank you so much for sticking around, and we shall see you again soon.